Saturday night main event, what if? I'm Will, that's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast. As always, let's cheers, talk about some wrestling.
Yeah, we talk about it every PLE. These are fun. These are what ifs. Let's let our minds kind of wander and run around. We think this might be a pretty straightforward card, but what if it's not?
Yeah, it could get spicy. Who knows? We got a week to rumble. You can pull a swerve here at Saturday night main event and then just make up for it a week later. Give us a little spice into our wrestling life. But let's get right into it. I went ahead and went what if by matches, and we kind of booked, if you watched our predictions, which you should, I kind of booked the card there. Obviously, we don't have an official card, so we're just going to go with the same card that I went with last time. So we're going to start with Mr. Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. They have themselves a contract signing with Mr. HBK. But on Raw this week, we saw Kevin Owens come out with Sami Zayn, and he was trying to convince Sam, or he didn't even convince Sammy. He just kind of laid the groundwork for like, hey, by the way, you've always been about forgiveness. You're a nice guy. We go far back. You forgive Roman Reigns and everything, and you and I are closer than that. So, we should have each other's back. I'll be there for you at the Royal Rumble, and I assume you'll be there for me when it comes to Royal Rumble time with Cody Rhodes. So, what if somebody else, like Sami Zayn, like Drew McIntyre, like Seth Rollins, gets involved with this contract signing?
Yeah, I think probably the only one I would say would be Sammy, just because Sammy KO obviously have the historic past, I guess you could say. I mean, it's you see how involved they've been from pre-wrestling, wrestling, turns, winning tag titles together. You also know Cody and Sammy are pretty good friends. They seem to be getting along pretty good, obviously. I think he might show up. I think we may get something here that maybe it's just a little teaser, a little taste. Maybe you get KO deciding to, all hell breaks loose and he's attacking Cody. Maybe Sammy comes out, pulls KO off, asks him what he's doing. KO's like, oh, you're going to choose his side or something like that. And KO leaves. Something simple like that to where Sammy's not necessarily choosing a side yet, but you could be outside looking in being like, man, this guy always is in the middle of things. Like, why has he always got to stick his nose? Why can't he just side with me? That might be what we get here.
I kind of think that we're going to get Sami Zayn coming out because Kevin Owens is going to mention it in some way, shape, or form. We do get a scuffle going on between everybody in the ring, blah, 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 blah. And then I think we get Sami Zayn accidentally haluva kicking Cody Rhodes, just like how we got on Monday night when he accidentally haluva kicked Mr. Seth Rollins. I think Sami Zayn is going to, in one way, shape, or form, set up this Sword or Shield reunion group, new forming group with Seth and with Drew and with Kevin Owens and maybe Sami Zayn being the fourth guy with these accidental strikes on people. I just think that we're going to get some sort of Sami Zayn nonsense in this, and it's going to lead to big things in the future.
That would be, I don't know. I like the way that you booked that. I like that. Accidentally kicking Cody Rhodes, I feel like it's perfect because then you have Kevin being like, oh, did you mean to do that? Oh, you're on my side, you know, and you have that. Or, I mean, you could do it vice versa. Why not? You could have him go to haluva kick somebody and he ends up haluva kicking KO. I think the better way, though, would be for him to haluva kick Cody. Cody's on the mat and KO and Sammy kind of stand tall.
Yeah, maybe Sammy accidentally almost hits Cody, but Cody catches him, moves out of the way, and then Cody's like, what the hell? Maybe gives him a Cody cutter or something. Maybe we walk away with that. But
knowing all this, we probably get none of it.
Yeah, probably none of it. They're probably going to sign their contracts and get mad at each other. And one more thing, HBK is going to be in that ring with them.
Yeah.
What if Kevin Owens gives HBK a good old pile driver?
Ooh, that would be nice. I don't know if he will. I don't think he will. But God, it would be cool to see. He could kind of be on like a legend killer path, right? Like he just continues to take out the greats and he's kind of unhinged. I mean, for that to happen, I guess Shawn Michaels has to take Cody's side some way, somehow. And then, a little scuffle breaks out. He takes out Cody. In the meantime, boom.
We alluded to it in our predictions that Kevin Owens is probably going to have a hard time giving that belt up because they're going to relinquish their belts because it's a ladder match and both of them will be hanging from the rafters at the Rumble. I think that there may be a little bit of a tug of war with the belt between HBK and Kevin Owens, and that may lead to some action between the two of them. But I could see Shawn Michaels on NXT with an NXT hat and a big old neck brace selling it like a champ.
Yeah, I mean, I think either would take away one thing here. Either HBK's getting something happen to him or probably KO.
Probably KO.
Probably KO. If I had a bet, I'm betting KO is taking that sweet chin music. So
Yeah, I would bet on that as well. Fatu, Braun Breaker. Not much.
That's not the right match.
Fatu, Braun Strowman. There's so many Brauns, bro. I get them all mixed up. It happens. Anyway, Fatu going to be awesome in this match. Braun Strowman hopefully is going to be awesome in this match. But Fatu has this match, but what if Solo gets involved and accidentally costs Jacob Fatu this match against Braun Strowman?
God, I would hate that. I'll say it again. I would hate that. I understand, I guess, while Solo would kind of maybe stick his nose maybe where he doesn't belong, or maybe he's trying to think that is trying to help Fatu, right? Like he's like, oh, I'm just doing what's best. But what I personally want, I just want this to be a Jacob Fatu showcase to everybody that hasn't seen him. Just even keep Tama Tonga in the back, keep Solo in the back, keep everybody away. Just have Fatu come out on his own, and him and Braun Strowman can go at it, hard-hitting stuff. Fatu getting kind of not necessarily like a squash match, but a dominating win. Make sure it's a showcase. Give him all the stuff, kind of like how we did with Penta's debut. Is something like that for Fatu. I think that's the safe way to go. That's the smart way to go.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think this is going to happen. It's just a fantasy booking situation. But if Solo were to one day accidentally cost Jacob Fatu and say it's a Saturday Night Main Event, that would kick off the feud that I'm much anticipated for. I really want to see Solo versus Jacob Fatu. You would have Jacob Fatu immediately get mad at Solo. You start to roll the ball down the hill, the snowball down the hill. You'd have Jacob Fatu be like, okay, well, you're no longer my tribal chief. You're getting in the way of my wins. You know, who is this now? I'm the leader. I hate you, Solo. Eventually it's going to hit like a goddamn, ooh, that's going to be incredible. Do I think it happens here? No, it's way too soon, but who knows? It could be a nice swerve. Anyway, Braun Breaker. Sheamus. Sheamus been chasing that IC title for, 20 years. Okay.
A long time.
Long time, including, almost like a year in this, like,
a long time recently as well, yeah.
Yeah, he was in the Gunther stuff, and then,
the Drew.
Yeah, he was in all of it. So
triple threat, right?
Yeah. Here we go, though. What if Sheamus does win? What if he wins? What if he becomes Grand Slam champ here at Saturday Night Main Event?
Yeah, I guess, I would be happy for Sheamus. Don't get me wrong. He deserves it. I think we all can kind of agree there. I think, though, my question would be like, what are we doing? Because unless you just kind of keep running the same thing back, which if that's the case, you should just keep the title on Braun Breaker. And then my question would be like, well, what's next for Braun Breaker? I don't know where Braun Breaker goes. I don't know who Sheamus's next opponent would be, because typically I would say like, oh, somebody like Ludwig Kaiser, but Kaiser hinted at going after Penta, so he's going to be tied up, I assume.
God, that's going to be awesome.
So that's going to be great. Don't get me wrong, that's going to be fantastic.
What if Penta... Just make this a Penta episode.
Yeah, why not, right? But I don't know. I just think it's too soon. I think if you do it here, you miss out on a really good chance to do it at a Mania, which I think we've both come to the conclusion that that's where it needs to happen. Sheamus kind of deserves that, and then obviously that can be like a send-off for Braun Breaker to go do some big things after that.
Yeah, the answer to the question, what if Sheamus wins it? I'd be happy for him. Mm-hmm. It'd be great. Like, oh yeah, good for Sheamus, but like it wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. That would lead into the next what if here that I had written down. It's like, what if Sheamus loses? Where does he go from here? Do they hold off on Sheamus and Braun and wrap back around at WrestleMania? And then you have him go after the IC title and win it on the biggest stage.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what you do here. It's almost weird to say that it would be too soon for Sheamus to win the IC, because obviously he's waited his whole career for that, but I think it's too soon in like the calendar year for that to happen. What happens next? Realistically, I don't know. There is, you could potentially talk about like I don't think it's going to happen, but you could potentially throw John Cena in there with either one of these guys for a little bit of time, and then you circle back. I don't think they're going to do that, but John's kind of a wild card as to plug and play John into anywhere. He wants that IC title. I think that's who he probably faces, who faces Sheamus, I guess, for Sheamus's first like kind of real feud.
Oh, for the IC title?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think Mania happens. Maybe you run it back with a couple matches.
But Cena's going to be champion.
Well, I think Cena's not going to hold that title very long, and we're getting way off subject here. I don't think he's going to hold that title very long. Sheamus can have a couple matches in the meantime. First real feud, give it to John.
I don't know. This is what needs to happen. Sheamus needs to lose here, and then I don't even care if he goes away for a couple months. Like, honestly, it's totally fine. Go away for a couple months. Sheamus is one of those guys that can walk back into the door whenever. We know his match quality. He has the reputation. We trust him. It doesn't matter. Get people to kind of forget about Sheamus for a little bit, and then have him storming back come, Elimination Chamber time around there. Get some steam back up. Finally have Braun Breaker and Sheamus again at WrestleMania. Have Sheamus win it there on the biggest stage, and then you can kind of reset everything, right? Sheamus now gets his Grand Slam title reign. Braun Breaker's now clean slate coming out of WrestleMania. Shoot him wherever you want to shoot him. It works out for everybody. Yeah. So
SummerSlam, we'll say that. Sheamus Cena SummerSlam. Why not?
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. We'll see.
Then John Cena gets to be a Grand Slam champ. So
Yep.
What if John Cena wins? Yes.
That's the goal right there.
Rhea Ripley, Nia Jax.
Yes. Yes.
This match kind of shoot in at the end. I feel like I've been more of a supporter of this feud than most people. I was reading online today. People just do not like it. And I'm like,
Yeah, people don't seem to be a fan of Nia Jax, which is weird because I feel like she was.
She's fantastic.
I feel like people liked her on SmackDown, but then she moved to Raw and challenged Rhea, and people were like, yeah, no, she doesn't deserve this. And I was like, well, it doesn't.
She deserves it more than any other woman in the whole freaking place. She's done phenomenal character work. I'll stand by that all day long if I can talk. But here's the thing. What if Liv Morgan's revenge tour is not over? What if she ends up costing Rhea again, leading to Liv and Rhea feuding away from the championship after Saturday Night Main Event?
Yeah, I wouldn't like that either. I'm just kind of live and Rhea it out. I don't care if it's for a title. I don't care if it's for a chicken tendy basket. I don't care what it's for, really. I'm just kind of over it. And then that would make me think, like, well, what does Nia do? Who challenges Nia? Like, I don't know, Bayley? Well, I don't want to see that. So I think Rhea's kind of solidified herself as she's going to continue to hold this title. Nia, I think, is going to be maybe that heavy hitter on Raw that you can kind of put into different situations, kind of that Swiss Army knife of, hey, maybe this person doesn't have a feud, or, hey, we need somebody to go out and put on a good match, because Nia, she has credibility. Her in-ring stuff has progressed. I think it's gotten better. I think pretty much Rhea and Io is kind of what I'm looking at from the Raw side. Outside of that, I don't really know what happens for a lot of that women's division on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the Liv Revenge Tour not being over, screwing Rhea, it would make logical sense, I guess, in terms of their feud. Do any of us want to continue that feud? I don't think so. I think we're all Rhea and Liv fans are very much done with this. They could be upset. Liv fans can be upset about the way it ended and how they thought that she was going to carry the title into the Netflix era. Sorry it didn't happen. But keep Liv way, way far away from this match. Keep Liv far, far away from Rhea. If you're going to have Nia come over to Raw after this and stay there, you need a heavy hitter to switch over to SmackDown. Liv going to SmackDown would be a great little choice here. And that kind of leads into my next what if. We have Rhea winning clean. So what if Rhea does win clean? What would be next up for Nia Jax? It feels like she has unfinished business with Tiff. Does she go back to SmackDown and maybe continue that feud in some way, shape, or form? Or does she stay on Raw like you kind of alluded to and kind of just be the enforcer of Raw?
Yeah, I think that's probably what we get, is kind of the enforcer of Raw, which I guess doesn't make sense logically, because you lost your title on SmackDown. You didn't get a match. You seem to not really care about the title. You were like, oh, I don't care about that title. I'm going after this title now. And it was like, oh, okay.
Your best friend just stabbed you in the back and took your title, but
yeah. And I mean, she had Candice LeRae following her around for forever. Candice is not with her, I guess. So, I mean, you look at it logically, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but I think she's going to be just that heavy hitter. I think in the Rumble is probably where you get Nia Jax's next feud. Somebody in that match, obviously, she can feud with whoever. You can carry that into her being a participant in the chamber match, kind of like the heavy hitter in the chamber match for the women's side of things, and you kind of just go from there. I don't know who that would be right off the top of my head. I don't even know who I would want it to be, but I can tell you who I don't want it to be, and I don't want it to be Bayley. That's pretty much it. I mean, you look at the Raw side, like that's maybe the only logical choice, but I don't want that.
This is the most relevant what if question because it's 100% happening. So we're all going to be, after the bell hits, ding, 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 we're all going to be like, what's next for Nia Jax? The answer is she has to go back to SmackDown, in my opinion. Has to. Logic in recent day wrestling has carried long-term storylines. You cannot just have Tiffany stab her in the back, take her title, and not address it. It would be a big, big hole in the storyline of wrestling lately. You need Nia to go back for that reason, and I think you need Nia to go back to SmackDown because you can't have Nia and Rhea both on Raw because it would feel like you would have to demote one of them, and it would be Nia Jax. You would start to have people from Raw beat Nia. She would have to be kind of like your number one contendership. Like you beat Nia, you become number one contender. But if you do that and you want to establish new women wrestlers on Raw, you kind of have to have a lot of people eventually beat Nia Jax. And then all of a sudden she's down here with a losing record. And it's like, what the hell? So I say you send her back to SmackDown. You have Tiffany feud with her. If Charlotte doesn't pop back up into her life, that could be a thing. But if Charlotte doesn't pop up, you have Nia go back. And then you need Tiffany to solidify herself and actually defeat Nia in a flat-out one-on-one match, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, what you said makes logical sense, but the Charlotte Flair factor does exist.
That's why factor, baby.
That's why I don't have her going back to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I think maybe as you were talking, as I kind of think about it, maybe her and Candice kind of do a tag team, and maybe they've tagged before. Maybe they try to challenge for the tag titles some way, somehow. But you kind of look at it and you start thinking ahead to Mania. I don't really know what Nia Jax's path is going to be. Unless it's something like that, which is weird to say because I feel like Nia kind of carried that women's division at least on SmackDown for months, right? She was a main player. She was some people's in top 5 of 2024 in terms of like MVPs, right? She was fantastic. She was great. But now it's like, okay, now you look to WrestleMania. I don't know what that is unless it's maybe a tag team run with Candice LeRae, and admittedly, I'm not really excited for that either.
Jesus, I didn't realize the stipulations that Saturday Night Main Event has for Nia Jax's future.
Yeah.
She may have the biggest story to tell after all of this. I mean, yeah. A lot of things for Nia Jax. Thank God she's done the character work and has improved in the ring enough to kind of be able to do whatever they want her to do after this. Because, man, oh man, talk about a woman that just works.
Yeah.
She's fighting on Raw and SmackDown almost every week. It's phenomenal. All props to her. We got to move it on. Gunther, Jey Uso. Yeet versus chop. You think we're going to get that, actually?
No.
You think we're going to get Gunther chopping them and then Jey yeeting? Like, chop, yeet.
No.
Yeah, it'd be awful. All right.
It sounds terrible when you said it out loud, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You thought about it and you were like, man, this sounds cool. And it was not cool.
Let's just elephant in the room here. Elephant in the room here. What if Jey Uso were to somehow pull this off against Gunther and become champion? What would be next for Jey? What would be next for Gunther?
I think they would just run it right back at Royal Rumble. I think they would quickly turn that around and be like, hey, we need another match on the Rumble card. We've got 2 Rumble matches. We've got Cody and his title match with KO. You guys are just going to go do that again. I think that's exactly what they would do. Storyline wise, at least, it would make me kind of respect Jey some more. It would put him on an even playing field with Roman Reigns in terms of we're both world champions. It would also be another person that Sami Zayn could be against when Sami Zayn's like, well, this person has a world title and this person has one. And well, now Jey Uso has one. Storyline wise, you could argue it makes sense for him to beat Gunther long-term wise, right? Gunther would just get it right back at Rumble, and that's what it is. And he can carry on with his life. But I think there's too much stipulation, as you kind of hinted at in our prediction video. Jey Uso being involved in the Rumble match just makes too much sense. So you kind of have to do that there. But God, it would be cool. It would be a great moment. I would be even more excited than I was for his IC title win. And I thought that was one of the best moments of last year. I couldn't imagine that now.
You're exactly right. If he were to pull off the upset, which I don't think he will, but if he were, they'd run it right back at Rumble and Gunther would get it back in a week, just like that. And honestly, do it. Screw it. Find a way for Jey Uso to do it. Pop like crazy. Saturday Night Main Event would officially have some stock to it in terms of like anything can happen. The last one played it really, really safe. I agree with you. Jey Uso's stock would go up. He becomes a world champion, even if it is for a week. He did it. His solo reign, Main Event Jey Uso, his name just is established. He is a champion now. And then, of course, you have Gunther take it right back at Royal Rumble, rip it right back off him, maybe early in the night, first match of the night, something like that. So Jey can reinsert himself into the Rumble, and then you have all the bloodline drama in the Rumble. But I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a cool what if.
And you could imagine all the Yeet world title belts.
Oh, my God.
Imagine the belts.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And the merch.
The World Heavy Yeet title.
The World Yeet Champion or something, like the Yeet Champion. I mean, you could the merch and everything for a week. It'd be the hottest item.
Yeah, that one Raw would be, and his entrance at the Rumble would be freaking lit in front of all those people.
Yeah.
Let's get into more of the juice, though, right? Drew McIntyre, he's been attacking all the OG Bloodline members. He started with Jey Uso. That's what people kind of forget. On the Raw to Netflix episode, he attacked Jey Uso. What if Drew McIntyre gets involved in this match and costs Jey to further that story?
Ooh. Well, I mean, I guess I could see it. I don't think that it'll happen, but that is an interesting kind of twist and turn. I mean, Gunther certainly doesn't need the help, but coming out of it, you're like, what happens to Jey next, right? I mean, Jey got that roll-up win on Drew, and Drew's kind of become unhinged, for lack of a better term. He's just anytime, anywhere. Kevin Owens being here earlier in the night, too, you can probably have some sort of KO Drew sighting in the back or something to maybe hint at it. I don't know. I don't know how I'd feel about this right away. I'd have more questions than I would answers. I think that would kind of solidify, though, at least KO and Drew working together for me going forward. And then maybe you have Sammy and Jey on one side, and maybe you get Sammy questioning things. I don't know.
I just think that this would add to the Royal Rumble itself in a lot of ways, because it would make sense. Drew just lost to him with roll-up fashion. Drew did attack him earlier in a month ago and all that stuff, and Drew's obviously on a tear to just kind of destroy all of OG Bloodline, right? So you could have him do it. It would save Jey Uso's face in terms of losing another championship match, right? If Drew gets involved and Gunther pins him, then, you know, there's an asterisk there. And then later in the night, you would have Jey Uso back in the Royal Rumble with Drew McIntyre, with everybody else who's been involved in this story, and then the stakes would be even higher. So while I don't think it would happen, I think that it would make a lot of sense and help Jey in a lot of ways in terms of being able to take this loss without losing stock.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought, at least, because he's the one that has the character side of things, I guess, coming out of it. Like, you have more to kind of grow on Jey's side. Gunther is just Gunther at the end of the day, right? Like, stock's not going to go up, stock's not going to go down, it's Gunther.
And if he loses, like, what does Gunther do, right? Like, it's like, if Jey loses, he's already got his feet in 1,000 different, puddles of story. Gunther loses, it's like, well, what's he going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait, he just shows up to Raw and literally nothing.
There's no prestige to this. No prestige to this title.
Yeah,
and then I want my rematch clause.
Create my own title. I don't know.
What they do. Yeah.
Speaking of Gunther and his future, though, what if Gunther wins, which we think he will? Mm-hmm. What's next with no up next guy on Raw?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually, because you look at it and you're like, God, well, it seems like everybody thinks that maybe that Rumble winner's going towards Cody, but you also have Cody with KO and a great story that, honestly, I want them to kind of keep going with. Like, I wouldn't be mad if they stretched it out to Mania, realistically. That's how much I really love this KO Cody stuff. You could argue that's too long. I don't really care. I really enjoy the stuff. Kevin Owens is doing great work. So maybe, if that is the case, depending on how, you have to answer this, I guess, with another question, is like, what happens at the Rumble with KO and Cody? Because ultimately, maybe that Rumble winner is going to go after Gunther. I think that's probably what we're leaning towards. I don't know if that's accurate or not. We all have different opinions, I guess I should say, on who's going to challenge Gunther. But you think about it, and it's like, that's really the only thing for me, is he's just going to have to sit around and wait, and it's either going to be the person that wins the Rumble or the person that wins Chamber. And he missed the Raw Netflix debut. He did a little promo package. I think that's probably what they do, is just promo package here or there. You get a couple promos here or there about prestige, and then maybe whoever wins the Rumble decides Gunther.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think that Gunther, if he wins, and he will, I don't think he defends his belt again until WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. Because the way they've set up the Royal Rumble is everybody makes it sound like this is their last chance at a title shot. Like, there's really no storyline that you can point to over here to be like, well, this might not have anything to do with the Rumble, but obviously these guys are next up over here for whoever wins. No, it feels like whoever's going to win the Rumble is probably going to take on Gunther, in my opinion, and that will be the next feud for Gunther. So I don't know if we're going to get a 3-month, 2-month long feud with Gunther and whoever wins the Rumble, or if, like you said, he just kind of sits around for a while. But it does feel like Gunther's not going to have a lot to do after Saturday Night Main Event, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think in more and more in my head, it is going to be whoever wins the Rumble goes after Gunther. And which is weird to say because like Cody lacks story for so long of this title reign for Cody. But now Cody's in arguably, well, I mean, it's the best story on SmackDown, I would say. That KO stuff is so good. The only other story you could argue is like the Drew KO Seth bloodline Roman Reigns. You know, I'm gonna say bleh because it's a whole thing.
Bloodline.
Yeah. But you know, Cody didn't really have a story for so long, and now Cody has a story, and I'm like, well, I want this to keep going. You know, originally maybe whoever won the Rumble, maybe they challenged Cody. That's kind of what I had penciled in for so long. Now I'm like, okay, they're going after Gunther, and Gunther's probably losing that title at Mania, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so too.
And then it's like, what's next for him after that?
I don't know. That'll be in our What's Next WrestleMania video.
That's
in a few
long
months
ways away. It's a long ways away, but it's not a long ways away.
All I know is that last Saturday Night Main Event in December, right? It was
Yes.
December. Last Saturday Night Main Event last December. Played it very, very, very safe, and I wouldn't mind there being a few of these swerves. So WWE, just take any of these ideas for free if you hear it. You know, be pretty nice. I think people would like it. I think people would like some of them.
Yeah, I think some unpredictability is good, obviously.
But Rumble's right there.
Rumble's right there. And realistically, the last Saturday Night Main Event felt like a house show just on TV. I feel like that's probably what we're going to get here again.
Yeah. Speaking of, it being a good show, though, come watch it with us. Watch along. YouTube. That was a terrible segue.
Yeah, you're gonna have to work on those segues.
That segue was awful. But come watch it on our watch along. We'll be for SmackDown tonight and then Saturday Night Main Event tomorrow right here on YouTube. So come watch it. Have some fun with us. We always have a good chat going. It's fun stuff. But follow us on all of our socials at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. Listen to us wherever you get your podcasts at, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. And then come follow us on all of our other socials, and our link tree in our bio. It has all of them. Go ahead and follow all of them, comment, like, all that stuff. We love talking to you guys in all the comment sections. And of course, we have a Discord if you want to come talk to us personally in there as well. But until next time, I'm Will. That's Brandon. We're the Cousins of Destruction Wrestling Podcast, and we will see you next time.